I'm coming into focus.
Well, it's awesome to be able to speak to you because I've been a fan of yours for a long time and you've
Thank
played
you.
so many iconic characters. But I'd love to know when you realized you had a specific talent to play animals like Willa the Cat in this film.
The animals came to me late in the game. I kind of got into improv and then voiceovers because it was so improvisationally based, and it was a form of acting where I didn't have to memorize scripts or sit in a trailer all day. So that was a definite plus. Plus a lot of variety. But once I got to Hollywood, I saw that they need animals and creatures and monsters and pets, and so I started working on those kinds of voices because it just suited me. I like animals, I like monsters, and I like acting and improv, and it all just kind of came together with that after I'd been in Hollywood for a year or two. But before then, it was like I wasn't particularly focusing on animals or anything.
Yeah, well, it's amazing, I think, how you managed to inject animals like Willa with so much personality, and Willa the cat is an
Thanks.
animal with tons and tons of personality. So, what's your secret there in order to be able to translate that through your performance?
Well, to my mind, the secret is you treat an animal or any creature just as you would any other actor in a scene. That there is intent and intelligence behind every vocalization or utterance that comes out. And so, as an actor, you have to consider what is the subtext of what's being said, what is happening, what's the event, the internal stakes, and the internal event, and the subtext, and all that kind of stuff, that actory stuff. That's all got to be in play with an animal. Otherwise, the sound just comes off as sounding generic. And happily, with the lovely animation in this movie and the good directing by Jamie Thomason, that we got all the emotional beats, and because a lot of that's already mapped out visually for me at the point that they show it to me, and then I just sort of give them these what I call little audio buckets of sound that provide choices for different kind of reactions, like curiosity, suspicion, outrage, anything that's useful within the story, and that they can, as they edit it together, pepper that in, hopefully not too much, and make the story come further to life.
That's fascinating. And I've talked to a lot of actors who said, the big action scenes and the screams that they have to do in the recording booth sometimes put a real strain on their voice. And I know obviously you've done a lot of action roles yourself, but when you're playing an animal like Willa, is that true for that as well? That obviously the places you've got to go to with your voice and your throat when you're doing this performance.
Yes, a lot of that can be very strenuous on the voice, and as with regular speaking voice acting, is through either experience or training or both as an actor, you kind of learn how to deliver the full energy of what you want without damaging yourself. So that you're not pulling your emotional punches, but you're putting it out there in a way that's not going to cut you off from finishing the job. And so a lot of the art of it is not what you do, but what you choose not to do, what you avoid, so that you do it in a way that still fulfills the fullness of what is being expressed. Even if you're screaming or fighting or there's mayhem that's involved, it's something that doesn't put you out of the rest of the day's work or be able to finish the job.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said at the beginning of the interview, you've had an amazing career, played so many great characters. But could you have ever imagined years ago that you'd be tormenting Kenneth Branagh as this mischievous cat that we see in this film?
It's quite the celestial grouping of talent that they have in this, vocally speaking. It's marvelous to be part of that. And it usually is the case. It's like, well, I'm I'm this person's cat or that person's cat, or I'm in the show with that. Of course, I never see them. They never see me. We never actually get to work together, but it's all seamlessly kind of woven together in the engineering of it all. But yeah, it's very gratifying to be part of something that's well performed, and beautifully acted like this is, and it's a moving story that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy, whether they have a religious background or not. And it's a real treat to see it all come together so beautifully in terms of the acting as well as the animation and all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the animation because I think visually this is a really interesting and quite an exciting and quite a stunning film at times as well. So for you, did you get to see much of the animation or character design when you were in the booth doing for Willa the Cat? And does that help you a lot to see that if it was available?
Yeah, any kind of visual information that I can have is useful, especially when bringing life to the choreography and the movement of a creature. So in this case, they were pretty late in the post-production process, but they only show me the scenes that they need me to cover. And so I only saw flashes of it as I was performing it, but then with the good directing of Jamie Thomason and really just the beautiful specificity of the animation already. I mean, it's very clear what is playing out in a well animated scene, just visually speaking. And so that is my guide. I'm following the visuals. That more it's much more important than a script or even a verbal description is what you see is ultimately my director.
Yeah, it's incredible. And to obviously take a character like Willow and to place her in this biblical epic as well, because obviously she gets to be transported through time really, along with the kids and the other main characters. That must have been quite interesting to see that and to experience that through this character too, because it's not something we've ever really seen before, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's a smart device, I would call it,
Yeah.
to bring in not only the skeptical child, um, but Charles Dickens' son, but also the cat, who kind of mirrors the sense of skepticism, but also the sense of wonder and of openness and innocence that is being told this story and brought into this story and convinced by this story. And so the cat is, I think, is as important a part of that as the child is. And it's very nice. It's very. I have to credit probably mostly the writing on that, and then the directing of it to kind of bring that into the persuasive angle of the movie. It works very beautifully. But the cat, the silent creature, is often very important for that because they're kind of a stand-in for the audience, right? An animal reacts honestly and in the moment. So they're often a mirror of what is actually happening and what's actually playing out in its fuller emotional sense. And so it's a very important part of the story. It's not an incidental window dressing kind of a character. It's very much part of the bringing in the audience to the story.
Yeah, 100% agree. And talking of creatures and animals, I'm not sure a lot of people know that you obviously did the voice for Eagly in Peacemaker, completely
Yeah.
different project to this one.
Yeah.
Are you going to be back for season two with that? I know they've been working on that, obviously in the new DC reboot, but that was such another fun character and so many great moments in that show.
Oh, I was very, very pleased with Eagly, and I really enjoyed Peacemaker. I think all I can say is I don't think I'm allowed to say anything. So maybe that tells something. I don't know, but I don't think I can. I don't think I'm at liberty to discuss such things. But I'm smiling as I say that, so I don't know what that means.
Well,
I
we'll leave that open. Yeah, leave that open for
don't know.
interpretation. But another favorite role of
I
yours,
hope.
Captain Rex. What an iconic Star Wars character he's become. I mean, looking back, do you think we're going to see more of Captain Rex? I know you've done the Bad Batch, another fantastic group of characters there that have become
Thanks.
iconic. But what do you think your
Well,
Star Wars future looks like?
Well, look. Well, first of all, again, if something were in the works, there's no way I could tell you anything about it. Secondly, I would say that these characters are very beloved,
Yeah.
and as we've seen, they've got a new there's a new Star Wars animated um, limited series coming out in May.
Yes.
That's got Ventress. It's got other beloved characters we've seen before. So, in all honesty, I don't know what's down the pike, but I would say that there's a lot to mine there with all of these beloved Star Wars characters. And I think any character that's made that really has something to him or her that audiences connect with. And then you've also got in the Star Wars galaxy, for instance, you've just got just this really broad universe of stories and elements that are playing out. You can always go backwards or forwards in time, sideways if you want. So I would hope so. I would hope that Rex or any of the clones or even the Bad Batch, I would love to bring them any of them all back. They just have to send the drop ship and I'll hop right in. But I don't know. I have nothing, no good news to share because I really honestly don't know.
Must be amazing though to have contributed characters like that who have become iconic and such a huge franchise. And so you're up there with Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader. People love Captain Rex and those characters. That must be awesome.
Yeah, it's very gratifying as an actor and especially as a voice actor to tie into something that's not only a great artistic challenge, but that connects so much with so many people for all the right reasons, which really starts with, I think, the writing, and then with the brilliant artistic production and just the way that they've cultivated that whole creative writing machinery at Lucas Animation. It's really wonderful. And then the cherry on the top is like I've loved Star Wars since I was a kid, and so to be flying around in that galaxy is pretty darn exciting.
That's fantastic. And back to this film, which is another fantastic project. Angel Studios. I've covered a few of their releases now, and they seem to be all about spreading a really positive message with their movies. They're big on obviously prioritizing the theatrical experience. And is that something that's important to you when a film like this comes along, that you can be part of almost a bigger picture in some ways with a film like
Yeah.
this?
Well, I'll say as an actor and also as a parent, as a human being on planet Earth, that I think an optimistic horizon is on is in great demand, more so than maybe in other times. And so it's a wonderful thing to be part of something that's putting out a positive message that is aspirational and that seeks to make the world better and to make people better. That it's not just a jaded view of the way things play out, which that has its own validity, I think. But it's nice. It's a nice relief to be something that's just very straight ahead and positive and beautiful. And uh, so that's a wonderful. It's a wonderful thing to be part. I'm part of a lot of stories, and so it's wonderful to be part of a much bigger story like this that plays out. That's surely going to impact many people and families all over the planet.
Absolutely. Well, what a fantastic note to wrap up on, Dee. Thank you so much for your time. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of your work in Star Wars and beyond, too many projects to count. But such a pleasure to speak to you, particularly for a film like this and such a fun role that I cannot wait for people to see because I think they're going to be very pleasantly surprised.
Great, I think so too. Great talking with you.
Yeah, great to meet you. Thank you so much, Dee.